Swashbucklers, you're listening to Under the Crossbones, episode number 142. My name is Phil Johnson, your host for the show each and every week. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in and telling your friends and doing all that kind of good stuff. I'm coming to you today from my rental car at a truck stop is somewhere in the middle of Michigan. Not quite sure exactly where I am. I am on my way to Chicago for some shows on the road, doing some performing across the street from a cemetery that looks like it has a lot of room in it, a lot of green grass, a lot of lawn where they could probably put some more people because there's not a lot of people in this particular area. So, episode number 142. Fun fact about the number 142. In the year 142, the Chinese Taoist alchemist Wei Boyang, author of The Kinship of the Three, is the first to describe an early form of gunpowder solution. So there's something for all you black powder fans out there. There you go, Wei Boyang. He's the guy that first figured it out so that you could blow off your muskets and your cannons at the festivals. That's happening. There's a guy getting into his car right next to me right now, probably wondering why I'm talking into a microphone. But that's the peril of doing podcasting in public. That sounds like a strange adult entertainment website right there. Podcasting in public. My guests on the show today, guests plural, yeah. Robin Flanagan from Crimson Pirates is on the show. And so we're going to talk pirate music and how they got digging into that. And also Chris Leidenfrost from The Greatest Pirate Story Never Told, which is an improvised show, an improvised pirate show. So think like, whose line is it anyway? But without the games, but improvised. You know what improvisation is. I don't have to explain it to you. But they do a lot of work together, and they are artistically connected. And so that's who's on the show today, Robin Flanagan, Chris Leidenfrost. So we're going to talk to them. The gigs have been fun. They've been good. I did Spring Lake, Michigan Thursday when I got out here. Flew all day. Got out of bed 3 o'clock in the morning, drove to the airport, and got on a plane, got to Michigan, had about 2.5 hours to kill. And then went and did a show that night. So I put in full 23-hour day. Played in Saugatuck, Michigan, which is right on the shore of the lake, kind of a yacht clubby type of place, and that was a whole bunch of fun. Things coming up. I'll give you the tour dates real quick. May 29, that's tonight. If you're listening to this the day it comes out, I'll be at Zany's, Rosemont, Illinois. May the 31st, that is Thursday, I'll be at the Quadden Casino, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and then it is back to California. On June 2nd, I'll be at Terra Amico in San Jose, California, which I'm pretty sure is a furniture store. But they're doing a comedy show there, so I'll be on that rare hometown gig. June 8 to 9, I'll be at the Chico's in Clovis, California, down near Fresno. June 12, Winters in Pacifica, California. June 16, Cool Beer Works in Cool, California. Did you know that there's a town called Cool, California? Yeah, I didn't until the first time I went there. Cool. I would say it's pretty all right. It's very small, very small. But anyway, June 16th, Cool Beer Works. And June 17th, Woody's Brewing in Redding, California. Those are all going to be really fun gigs. I'm looking forward to all those. Got Oregon, Washington, Tennessee, Canada coming up this year. All sorts of really great stuff. So you can get all that. Go to underthecrossbones.com. Click the tour dates button. You can find out where I'm coming to be near you. Speaking of which, festival season, it's starting. I'm starting to see all you guys' pictures up on the Facebook and the Twitter and the Instagram. All the festival pictures are starting to come out. NorCal Pirate Fest, I'll be hanging around there a little bit, June 16 to 17. So if you see me, come say hi. Long Beach, June, the Long Beach Pirate Invasion, I will definitely be hanging out there all weekend. That is June 30 to July 1st. I will be on stage talking into a microphone, doing the thing. So that's going to be fun. Make sure you come say hi at that. We are sponsored today by TeePublic. TeePublic works with independent T-shirt artists, and they create really cool, super awesome T-shirts. And when you go buy one of those T-shirts, they pay the artist, and they pay me a little bit, and it's a nice thing that you can do. I've curated a whole bunch of over 100 really super awesome pirate T-shirts that I know you're going to love. There's funny ones, and there's scary ones, and there's sexy ones. Really great stuff. So to go check out those 100 T-shirts that I have picked out for you, go to underthecrossbones.com/shirt, and you can see all that. All the cool pirate gear, pirate tees from TeePublic. For the stuff when you're not at the festival. Or my gosh, when you get too amazingly hot at the festival and you need to do something else. Holy cow. It's super hot here in the Midwest. It's in the 80s, and the air conditioning is currently not on in my car because you would be hearing it through the microphone. So I turned the car off, and I got up this morning, took a shower, immediately started sweating. So it's that kind of heat. But you know what I'm in love with? I am in love with adaptive cruise control. I'm on a rental car, and it's the same car I drive. It's a Toyota Corolla, but it's a couple years older, newer than mine, and it's got the adaptive cruise control, which means you put the cruise control on, and then it brakes and it accelerates based on who's in front of you. It's so awesome. I always wanted something that would allow me to not have to think even as much as I wasn't thinking before while I was driving. It's amazing. If you have a chance to try out the adaptive cruise control, and you don't want to think, or you want to think less while you're driving, it's a treat. It's a treat, friends. Hey, you might have been, this is a side note, sort of business, sort of not. You've probably been getting 1,000 emails from all the websites that you have accounts on about this GDPR thing. It's the new European Union privacy notice. And so if you go to the Under the Crossbones website, there's the new, I updated the GDPR, the privacy notice on there, as well as all my other sites, philjohnsоncomedy.com, all that kind of good stuff too. I've always been nice with your information anyway, for those of you that are on the mailing list from the ebook and things like that. So you're safe with me. But here's what I did is Thursday night. Was it Thursday night? Might have been Friday night. I think it was Friday night. I went and did a show. And went and did a show in Flint, Michigan that night. And then I took some cold pizza home to my hotel room. And then I spent the entire night updating privacy policies on my websites until about 2 o'clock in the morning. So ain't no after party like a Phil Johnson after party, right? That's when you think about, the entertainment business. You think about Hollywood and the after party from after the concert with the rock stars and the comedians and all that. It's exactly not what you might think it is. No, I was updating privacy policies and eating cold pizza until 2 o'clock in the morning. So much fun. But the shows are good. As long as the shows are good, that's all we care about, right? So be sure to come join us over on Facebook, too. A lot of cool stuff happening over there. Facebook.com/UnderTheCrossbones. We're over on Twitter as well. Twitter.com/UnderCrossbones. Know the and that. And, of course, you can get all the show notes for this episode at UnderTheCrossbones.com/142. If you want to support the show financially, some of you guys have been doing that lately. I appreciate that very, very much. I like to see those donations coming in. There's a few of you. And go to UnderTheCrossbones.com/support. There's a little PayPal box there. You can put a donation into the box, whatever you want. Maybe the price of a bottle of rum. We'll use that as a go-to. I don't know how much rum costs because I don't drink, but there you go. Whatever you want to put in that donation box is cool. If you don't want to buy anything, if you don't want to give me any money, you can go to Amazon, click the little Amazon banner on the support page, and buy yourself something nice. I have right now, as soon as I get home, I got to buy a capo, and I have to buy an alarm clock. But I don't get to click through my own banner to do that. So if you go click through the banner and you buy yourself a capo or an alarm clock, Amazon kicks me back a few shekels, and that helps me keep the old boat afloat, And if you want to be a sponsor of the show, like TeePublic or Pirate Radio, The Treasure Coast, or any of those folks, you can do that. Go to UnderTheCrossbones.com/support. There's some sponsor information there. You can get in touch with me, and we will hook it up. All right? So let's dig into this interview. This is going to be so much fun, you guys. Robin Flanagan from Crimson Pirates and Chris Leidenfrost from The Greatest Pirate Story Never Told. Check it out. So we've so much stuff to talk about today because you guys do lots of things, and so let's start with Crimson Pirates, which is a musical group, and Robin, that's kind of your area there. So tell me tell me a little bit about the group and what you do.
Well, we first came together in 1996 at the New York Renaissance Festival as a stunt fight show.
Okay.
And our group was looking for a way to warm up the audience, and we just happened to have a guitar player and a drummer, and we were all singers, and so we decided to do some pre-show music. However, at that point, we were still part of this show called the Buccaneers Brawl.
Okay.
That fall, we were invited to perform at the Cloister medieval event that takes place here in New York up at the Cloisters. And we needed a name, and we came up with the Crimson Pirates, and that was our first performance as that group. And we just kept the group together, and we started to add to our repertoire, and we've had crew come in and out over the years, but we still have a goodly amount of our original members are still with us, and we've been in existence for 22 years.
Interesting. So 96, you said it started, right?
Yes, correct.
Now, there's two questions there. That is well before the current pirate craze, which starts with the Pirates of the Caribbean in 2003, and also it's the Renaissance Fair scene, which they were not completely amenable to pirate invasions back then. So was your pirate fight group, was that an invited part? Were you invading? How did that go down?
Well, actually, it goes back a little further than that.
Okay.
Because both my husband and I, who are two of the founding members and owners of the Crimson Pirates, were also on staff and also part of the in-house performance company at the New York Festival at that time, and were approached to put together this fight/stunt show. Also, and I do want to give a shout out to our mentors and our very dear friends. Unfortunately, the group is no longer performing together. The Pirates Royale down who were at the Maryland Renaissance Festival at the time, we were big fans of theirs and loved their music and loved what they were doing. And when we started to do this show, we emulated or put together the group with the knowing that there existed such a group at another fair, and one that we've recognized over the years as our mentors and our sister group, because we had become close friends with them. And so that's kind of, I guess we snuck in a back door, if you want to put it that way. But there was no resistance at that point for us at our fair.
Interesting. Now, how soon after that did you branch out to other Renaissance fairs and things?
I would say that probably after our first CD release, we did a couple of small fairs in the early years, but it really wasn't until 2002 that we started to travel to fairs. And in that year, we traveled down to Texas, and we started, going into Pennsylvania. We also started actually being invited down as guest pirates for the Maryland Pirate Invasion weekend, and luckily got to perform side by side with our friends.
Nice.
And then over the years, it's ebbed and flowed in terms of how much travel we do or how little. This is actually more of a passion for me than a vocation at this point, which is why I'm glad Chris is here, because Chris is more. This is his livelihood. So you're going to get both sides of this coin, so to speak. So this was for me. It's very difficult to do anything extended out of the tri-state, or at least the northeastern area of the country.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's go back even a little bit farther. How do you and your husband get into the Renaissance scene? And so it was sort of internal directive to put together a pirate show, but how'd you get into the Ren's Fair scene in the first place? Well,
my entrance to the fair scene was in 1983.
Okay.
So I've been around the festivals for a very long time. I actually started as a stage manager at the New York Renaissance Festival in 1983. And my undergrad degree was in theater, and specifically in theater, a BFA in theater production, with an emphasis in stage management. So right after college, a few years after college, this position opened up, and other classmates of mine were currently doing the fair. And so when I went for my interview, I had an in and got that job, and then never left. Changed roles significantly. I then went back to grad school for an MBA in accounting.
Oh, okay.
To support my habit of wanting to continue to work in Renaissance fairs. During that time period, my involvement was limited to just the weekends, just helping out the producers and just doing an information booth or helping vendors and things of that sort. I came back as the production stage manager in 1987 when the existing production stage management left for another position, and got my Actors Equity card through doing that position. And in the very same year, started my accounting career at back then, the big 8 public accounting firms. So again, I had to reassess how I could be involved at a Renaissance festival.
Sure. And
decided to audition for the performance company, which would be a less of a time commitment.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning from 1988 on is when I started to perform, and then added on things like directing and being the fight captain for 14 years and running the joust field for 10 years. And, once you're at a Ren Fair, you do just a little bit, you become a jack of all trades and do a little bit of everything.
Sure, yeah.
Throughout those years, my husband started the fair in 1990. Of course, he wasn't my husband at the time. He came through the route of being a stage combatant.
Oh, okay.
And being interested in doing stage combat. He has since gone on to become a certified teacher with the Society of American Fight Directors, and now choreographs and assistant choreographs on Broadway, off Broadway, here in New York City.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But then also continues to travel with us and sing when we do a variety of gigs.
That's very
cool. And then, of course, 9 years after we met, we got married and have been together since then.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's so great to hear. Now, when you went into, so it sounds like the music started very organically, as we just need something to warm the crowd up, that kind of thing. At that point, was there any thought into how the music would be approached? Because at the time there wasn't a ton of pirate bands around. Now we're littered with pirate bands all over the country. And so was there any thought put into the approach to the music, or you just kind of jump in with we're going to do sea shanties and go?
It was more, I'd picked up a couple of CDs, chose a few songs that we all liked, sat around in the room, noodled through them and said, okay, yeah, these are good. We started with very little harmony, very little instrumentation. Really, it was a guitar, a bodhrán, a tambourine, claves. That's it. That's what we started with. And it was very simple and just rousing. And, it was that I now call a lot of the things. And that's CD1 is very much what I would call our Ren Fair standard CD, meaning the songs that people who go to Ren Fairs hear at every Renaissance fair. Because that was pretty much what we did in that first few years.
Sure.
And then we started to branch out into more Irish, Scottish, and English folk music, definitely more into even non-traditional sea songs. So we extended our repertoire to include modern songs, but only those that have a very traditional sound.
Okay.
And I think we've been pretty honest to that footprint, with the exceptional throw in of a joke here and there or a comment here and there. But we've tried to keep it pretty traditional sounding, but we've now added concertina and tin whistles and djembes and our occasional fiddle player. Our orchestration has definitely, and our arrangements have definitely organically expanded, both vocally and instrumentation wise. The one thing we have always maintained is that we are the G-rated pirate group.
Okay.
Our prime audience sometimes are the 5 to 8 year olds.
Okay.
they adore us, and we try to keep that. There are plenty of the pirate bands, and I'm not putting them down in any way. I enjoy that music just as much.
Sure.
But from having been behind the scenes at a Renaissance festival, it is very difficult to have blue areas or segregate when you can cross the line and when you can't.
Sure.
And because we grew out of that environment, keeping our music for family-oriented events is part of our core of what we do.
Nice. Was there ever a point where you went, okay, now we have to, this is becoming a thing now we have to think a little bit more about the music, or was it just a slow, organic procession as it went on? For me, the music, my feeling always was that you can sing with gusto and sing musically at the same time, that it's not an either or. Yeah.
I never felt that it needed to be an either or. I always felt that just because you want it to sound pretty doesn't mean it can't be intense, or doesn't mean it can't have spirit or enthusiasm. It can be both. So and again, most of I should say the majority of the people who have come through our ranks are multiple performer types, meaning they're actors and singers and musical comedy people and improv people. So we've always had a performance leaning in our music, in addition to also wanting. My background included a lot of music in grammar school and high school, and would have included it in college, but for a twist of evil fate that left me unable to do my audition for the music department when entering my freshman orientation.
Okay, so tell me about that twist of fate, because I had to go through those same auditions.
Well, I was a bassoonist.
Okay. Wow, that's a rough instrument.
Particularly when you are stricken with stage fright.
Okay.
And I went into my audition, sat down, and I was shaking so badly I couldn't maintain my embouchure, couldn't play a note, and ran out crying.
Oh, my gosh.
On my freshman orientation. Called my mother, and my mother's like, well, what else would you want to do? And I said, well, theater. She said, go for it, then go.
Interesting.
And when I look back, when you look back, you say, wow, I may not be the confident person I am now had I not had that experience.
Sure.
Because having to be with theatrical people in class and out of class taught me a lot about stage fright.
Yeah, certainly. Were there, because I know I have my own techniques for dealing with stage anxiety. What were some of the things that you learned that helped you get over that? I think
just having to do it over and over and over and over again. You know, when you have to, when even a class situation, you're vying for the attention of a professor with people who are always on stage, even in a class. You would either shrink into the background completely, or you have to step up to the plate. And I think in my personality, it was stepping up to the plate. So
interesting. So you had sort of the dichotomy of, I don't really want to be on stage, but I do, but there was a competitive streak at the same time, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Interesting. That's a dangerous combination right there.
Absolutely.
Have you ever used the bassoon in your pirate music?
No, but one of our current members just posted a YouTube video of her playing a bassoon. I didn't even know she played the bassoon, and I was so jealous when I saw it.
That's great.
So there may be bassoon in the Crimson Pirates' future.
We may have dueling bassoons in the Crimson Pirates at some point.
As far as I'm concerned, every style of music needs more bassoon.
I agree. Right up there with cowbell.
That's right.
So I feel like I'm hogging this. So during our long voyage of picking up new crew and dropping other crew off for shore leave, we picked up Chris Leidenfrost.
Fantastic segue.
about is around 7 or 8 years ago now, Chris, right?
Yeah, it's kind of scary to think in those terms, but yeah.
And Chris took to our music, and I'm going to let him talk a little bit now.
Yeah, so Chris, tell me about your background, how you ended up playing pirate music.
Well, I mean, I have to say, being a Crimson Pirate now, especially for 8 years, and now being so involved in the development and the booking and just everything about it, it's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory a little bit, because I grew up falling in love with pirate music because of the Crimson Pirates.
Okay.
So like it's kind of like getting to, I don't know, it's like walking in to Yankee Stadium and having, I'm gonna mix my metaphors now. Mickey Mantle, was he Yankee? I don't know.
I don't know either.
But having someone like that be like, hey, come along, play ball with me, and it's really just been a dream come true this whole past 8 years.
Now, what was your entree to that scene? Did you end up at the New York Ren Fair and see them there, or what? How did you? I'm always curious how people end up in that place where they find a comfort spot in a Ren Fair or a pirate festival.
Sure. Well, I mean, I actually have to admit that I became a pirate right when it became the cool thing to be.
Okay.
I'd gone to the New York Renaissance Fair. I guess I must have been 16 or 17, and I had gone just as a patron, and I was a young, performer, really fell in love with the outdoor theater, the immersive style of everything, the music, the stage combat, just everything about it just really drew me in.
Nice.
And so I guess in 2004, I auditioned that spring.
Okay.
I did a monologue for Two Gentlemen of Verona, the Lance monologue where he takes his shoes off and talks about his shoes.
Uh-huh.
And I remember walking into my audition, and the guy coming out of the room before me was putting his shoes back on. I was like, oh, no! So it's like, well, what's the worst that could happen? Well, I went in, I did my monologue, and no callback, no nothing, So, chalk it up to fate. It's the way of the world in performing.
Uh-huh.
But that past October, sorry, I'm kind of jumping around in my timeline.
That's fine.
So it was the October after the first Pirates of the Caribbean came out.
Yeah.
Loved that movie. Definitive moment in artistic and storytelling and stuff for me as a performer and an artist.
Uh-huh.
That film in general. And so I had done for Halloween that year, eons before, there were Jack Sparrow impersonators in every corner of the country. I'd thrown together a costume for Halloween, so I had this kind of Jack Sparrow look.
Okay.
That I had that year. And so, moving now I think that's kind of the backstory. So I'd gone to the Ren Fair, and then again in 2004, was going to go with a couple friends, and they were like, you should wear your pirate costume. And I was like, I don't know. I have to put on makeup and glue stuff into my beard. I don't want to do that. They're like, no, you should do it. It's really cool. So I said, okay. So they convinced me to wear my Jack outfit to the fair. And, once you're at the Renaissance Fair in costume in general, it's hard to not be a little in character. But when you're in a character like that, it kind of took over a little bit.
Sure.
And became this kind of interesting thing where I wasn't on the cast, I wasn't a performer, but I drew a lot of attention, and the more attention it drew, the bigger and bigger it got. So eventually, I was like, okay, this is cool. So I came back the next weekend, did the same thing. And I think that was the point where I started talking to a couple of the cast members there. They kind of pulled me aside and like, what are you doing here? What is this whole thing? Like, it's really cool. And then I said, okay, the third weekend I come back. And at that point, and this is such an unorthodox story. This this very rarely happens anywhere in the theater and Ren Fair in general. But I basically was like, "Hey, you want to come work here? We'll give you a contract. Come on board. We really like what you're doing." So I became one of the first Jack impersonators, I guess, on the circuit, and I did that there then for 2 years, and that kind of brought me to the cast there. Funny aside to that story. And I'm sure poor Robin's probably like rolling her eyes because she's heard the story a million times at this point. But, it was, I came on the cast then in 2004, halfway through this, much to the chagrin of some of the directors. We got rained out one of our last days of that season. And so a bunch of us, including the creative director who hired me, we all went out to lunch. And when a bunch of us, maybe like 15 of us, are sitting at this long table, I'm sitting near him, and he says to me, I remember you now. You auditioned for us, and I went back and I found your headshot, and you were in the no way folder. So, it all worked out. All the piratical stars, I guess, kind of aligned. So that got me into the cast there. Clearly, the whole pirate genre just was what spoke to me.
Yeah.
And so I played that kind of Johnny Depp impersonator character there for 2 years. and continued to do it part-time there. Amidst, I would change in and out of that costume in the middle of the day for several years to come after that. And during that time, I also, again, like I said, I had fallen in love with the Crimson Pirates early on before I was ever on the cast. And I just loved that style of music. And so the music director at that time, Lionel, who was also, was he? I don't remember if he was the musical director or the assistant director at that point. But a lot of the Crimson Pirates have, been on staff there as well because, they've been so influential in shaping the really great years of performance, I think, at that fair.
Sure.
Really great seasons. I reached to him and I said, I really love this music. Would I be able to, I just picked up a guitar. Could I start doing, would it be okay during the day if I, played music and developed my own kind of little pirate character? And he said, yeah, sure, of course. So that year was the first year I developed a character, Henry Martin, based on the child ballad Henry Martin.
Okay.
So it's kind of a named character there. And so I started doing pirate solo music before I was a member of the Crimson Pirates.
Interesting.
So I did that for about 2 years. And then I think through circumstances being what they were, the Crimson Pirates for one season found themselves without a guitarist, and they brought me into the fold, and I've been a Crimson Pirate ever since.
Nice. So now that is a large jump between playing guitar in a pirate band at a festival and jumping into a mostly improvised theatrical performance for the greatest pirate story never told. So bridge that gap for me a little bit.
Okay. So I said I was developing this other pirate character, Henry Martin. It was a musical pirate character. And through my time at the fair, I went and I got my first 2 certifications in stage combat. I was really trying to develop those skills. And I also at the time was performing in New York City in an improv troupe called LMAO.
Okay.
We were doing, a couple shows a week there in Times Square. So I had all of these kind of different hats that I was wearing between the stage combat and the improv comedy and music. Because a big part of the pirate story show is it's not just improv, it's a lot of it is musical improv as well.
Sure.
So I kind of had this brainchild in my head for a couple of years before we actually got a chance to get it to the stage. And it was, I want to take all these cool skills that I learned at the Ren Fair. I want to take the improv, I want to take the combat, I want to take the music, and I want to put them into one kind of mega show that kind of has it all.
Yeah.
Which is really what we did. And we performed it once. We made our premiere at the Pirates of the Hudson Festival in Sleepy Hollow.
Okay.
Which is no longer around, unfortunately. It was a pretty cool festival, but we did it there. And that same summer, Vince and Juan DeCar, who were the general managers of the New York Fair, and I'm sure Robin and Dan had something to do with it as well, allowed us to then bring it to the stage at New York with cast members of the cast there. So then we did it there, and it was still kind of in its early development phase, I would say, at that point. It was basically these pirate characters want to put on the show. They're going to, for whatever reason, when we did it at the fair, it was all kind of characters that I had brought together from the village to be pirates on the stage. So it's gone through several incarnations in that way. But then the following summer, we decided to try to flesh it out a little more, and we took it to the Planet Connections Theater Festival in New York City. And that's actually a cool little festival where they every show in that theater festival pairs with a charity.
Oh, okay, neat.
To raise money and awareness for a charity. And we raised money for the Rescue Foundation, which is Renaissance Entertainers and Service Crafters United. Okay. And that's an organization that it advocates and raises money for anyone who works on the Renaissance Fair circuit. They do advocacy and raise money for medical bills because I think their tagline is like, "We love our job. It's great working for the king, but he doesn't provide insurance." Right. So we did it there. And then from there, we got picked up, and then we did an 8-month run off Broadway at the Snapple Theater Center.
That's very cool.
So the show just kind of grew and grew and grew. And And we also then picked up an agency. We were working with an agency, and we toured the show at theaters all around the country at this point.
Nice.
On both coasts and everywhere in between. But now in the last year, especially, we've really kind of returned to our roots, and we're doing a lot of the festivals now.
Okay.
The Renaissance fairs on the circuit. And the cool thing about that is we're able to pair it with the Crimson Pirates. So we bring in one company of really super talented people, and we get to do 2 really awesome shows that we really love to do. So we get to do the improv show, the stage show, as well as the music. And which has, provided a lot of growth for both shows. Kind of, they both kind of came together, and then I think both shows grew significantly because of that partnership as well, because it's allowed us to go to some of the biggest fairs in the country, and it's been a really wild and awesome 2 years, hasn't it, Captain?
That it absolutely has, and I'd like to add that we as a group were getting a little long in the tooth, so it was nice to have this influx of some young, spirited, new, very talented musicians come in.
Sure.
And kind of breathe a little new life. I mean, after 22 years, things could get stale. And it's been challenging because now, as opposed to having a core group of, say, 5 or 6, we have a stable of about 15. And between Chris and I, we have to balance having a crew that can both do his improv show, which requires a very specific set of skills,
sure,
and also have the musical chops to do a 5-person Crimson Pirate set.
Right.
So while challenging, it's really pushing the envelope for our performers. Have to be multi-talented. They have to be able to really commit to being able to do all of this material at once.
Sure.
And I don't know, Chris. I think we've got some pretty amazing, talented people working with us at this
point.
My
God, we're really fortunate to have the casting that we have, and the bandmates that we have. Between like you and Dan and Anne and Lionel, the people who have been doing this for so long, and now we have people who have come in the last 2 years too, who are just not only amazing performers but just amazing musicians and just all around just good people. I mean, we tour. We all live together for months at a time, and we just we're like a little pirate family.
That sounds like a really fun performance challenge. Anything that uses so many different skills all together is difficult. But as a performer, you go, "Yeah, I think I want to try that." That sounds really. Oh, yeah, that sounds like a blast.
For sure. And I mean, it's not an easy show to cast.
Sure. Yeah.
No. And it certainly opened up doors for Dan and I to be able to see fairs that we would never have been able to work at a full run at. Chris and we've also reached a point where we're able to have 2 sets of boots on the ground at 2 different venues. So
nice.
Chris may have a group out at Colorado doing an 8-week fair, while Dan and I will be captaining a team of Crimson Pirates and some of Chris's other Greatest Pirate Story Never Told personnel at another local fair. So it's really opened up a lot of avenues that didn't exist before, for certainly not for Crimson Pirates.
Yeah,
so for us it's been an absolute joy.
That's fascinating. That's really cool. Now, the difference between putting a few musicians on a stage or throwing some improvisers on a stage and putting together a full-fledged theatrical experience. I've seen your videos and things. That's a large jump. What kind of challenges did you have to face down to make that work at the beginning?
Well, I mean, it's the challenges that go with any theatrical production, really. I mean, we when we first started, the first big show that we did, everything we did in New York was kind of small and collapsible, and we continued to expand. We did a show at the Tarrytown Music Hall for 2 years in a row, for 2 summers, and that was kind of the grandest scale we ever did it on, which was amazing. And then we had this big grand show with all this scenery and props. And then we said, okay, well, now we want to tour this. So then it was, building it up only to break it back down again.
Yeah.
And of course, the show's been running now for almost over 4 years. So we have some people who have stayed with us through that whole process. And again, we keep bringing in new people. as well. So that's also a challenge. Like I said, it's at least Greatest Pirate Story, but Crimson Pirates too, because we have some pretty sophisticated harmonies and instrumentation now in our arrangements that you can't just bring in anyone to just, like, we need a singer, but we also need you to play guitar and mandolin, and we also need you to sword fight and do all these other things. So it does provide it's a grueling, I can't tell you how many people who have sent in a audition submission, and we send them a packet to prepare, and then how many people are like, I don't think I can make my audition. It's like a 2-page packet, that outlines the improv and the combat call and the music requirements. So, that's always been a challenge to make sure we have, God bless, we have an amazing cast right now, but we also don't expect people to be like, signed to us for life. So, we have one really amazing, talented person who came into the fold last year, Zach, who he did our winter tour of theater shows. Then he came out to Colorado with us for 8 weeks. And right before we left for Colorado, it's like, my school called me and they offered me a 2-year, graduate scholarship, full ride for another graduate degree. And we're like, well, it's been really fun having you.
Yeah.
But he's actually going to come back and do Colorado with us this year. He's been able to work it in with his school schedule. So, like, those are always ongoing challenges for a group that's been together for this long. And we continue to go on into the foreseeable future. Certainly.
Yeah. One of the most useful things I think of a lot of the pirate bands and things that I've talked to is that they do have sort of a rotating cast of people that can come in, whereas in your standard indie rock band, there's 4 or 5 people, and if one of those guys can't show up, then you're in big trouble. And I've dealt with that for years and years and years. And the more I talk to the pirate bands who are like, yeah, we've got 20 people and we use 5 or 6 of them at any given time, that just seems like such a smart idea to me. That's the way I want to do everything now.
I mean, I'm not sure if there exists anyone who actually pays their rent being in a pirate band. So
yeah, I know a couple.
But most of us have to have day jobs or have to have some way of paying the bills. So you are up against life when you're doing something like this. And you need to be respectful that if somebody has to pull out because they have to pay their bills, that's the priority.
Certainly.
Or if they get married and have kids, or if they have a different life schedule at the moment. We have a pretty open door policy for the most part, and just because you're not available for these couple of years doesn't mean we close the door. It just means when the fates allow, we'll find a way.
Yeah.
It's you said something before about how do you keep everybody together, and I think Chris and I, and Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong, have the same feeling in that you've got to feel like you're working with people who you consider friends, or
sure.
who even if you don't know them well yet, you see potential for friendship, because it's not like this is a lucrative career, for anybody.
Now, how many of your accounting clients know that their accountant is a pirate as well?
Well, actually, I am not in private practice.
Okay.
I am a director of finance at a Fortune 100 company to remain nameless.
Okay.
But everybody right up to the CFO of that company knows my sideline.
Nice. So. That's great. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was I went solo just because of those sort of scheduling ideas where it was so hard to get everybody together for anything, and there was so much planning that had to go into it. I was like, I'm just going to go do it myself. So I went the other direction, which is not as much fun, but I also don't have to split the money at the end of the night.
That's true too.
Yeah. So where is the best place online for people to keep track of all the stuff that you guys are doing?
I would say definitely our Facebook pages for sure.
Okay.
Facebook.com/The Crimson Pirates and Facebook.com/Greatest Pirate Story.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I mean, also our website's crimsonpirates.com and greatestpirate.com. good places too. But I feel like the Facebook is great because we're constantly updating it with videos from gigs, with all kinds of fun adventures and misadventures we're having on the road. So it's a great way to find us and see where we're going to be, because we're constantly, we're constantly everywhere. We're gonna be in Colorado and Pittsburgh, and we have a bunch of stuff, small one-weekend fairs in the New York area coming up this summer.
Cool.
So lots of opportunity for people to follow us and see where we're going to be, and hopefully get down to a show.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, I hope next time I'm out in that half of the country, I can stop by and see you guys too. I think sounds like a really, really fun show. And, oh man, well, this has been fun. Is there anything I forgot to ask you guys that you want everybody to know?
I feel almost we talked so much shop, Under the Black Flag is such a term of passion for so many people out in whether it's the theater or the Ren Fair or the reenactment world. It's such a cool community, and we're just really happy to be part of it and ever growing as part of it. As we're starting to rebuild and change and move out to more and more shows, and it's just it's a cool thing, and we're I don't know, I'm kind of ranting now. I apologize.
That's okay.
But I'm distracted by my dogs barking at me. Sorry. But also, it's really awesome to be part of, and I hope no one listening to this or on the interview with this takes offense, but it's really cool to be part of another generation of people coming in to work on this kind of music and keep this kind of music alive.
Sure.
Keep this style of performing alive. And it's just been a pleasure to be welcomed into this group and this pirate family. So
that's fantastic.
And hopefully it'll go on for many, many years.
Yes. Well, thank you guys for taking the time to do this today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome, Phil. Thank you for asking us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope we can talk again soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Phil.
All right. Bye-bye. And there it is, friends. That is my interview with Robin Flanagan from the Crimson Pirates and Chris Leidenfrost from The Greatest Pirate Story Never Told. I'm sweating in this rental car with the air conditioner off. The second part's not going to be all that long, I think, because I got to turn the air conditioner back on. So if you want to find out more about what they're doing, you can go to crimsonpirates.com. If you want to find out more about Chris Leidenfrost's improv pirate show, go to greatestpiratestory.com. What'd you learn? Did you like it? Did you learn something? Did you hear something you thought was cool? Come on over to Facebook and drop us a little note. Tell us about it. It's facebook.com/underthecrossbones. We're going to spin a song from the show, it's a Crimson Pirates track, I believe, and it's called Come and Be a Pirate. So we're going to hear that in a second. But first, we are sponsored today by Pirate Radio, the Treasure Coast, WKKC-DB. Playing the best music of today's hits and yesterday's classics, and Pirate Radio Talk, playing the best pirate radio shows, including Under the Crossbones, 24/7, all commercial free. To listen, just go to pirateradioTheTreasureCoast.com. That's the music station. You can also get the Pirate Radio WKKC-DB app for the music station, or go to pirateradiotc.com or get Pirate Radio Talk app. That's the talk station. It's all brought to you by iTreasure Radio, the very best digital media from independently owned stations at iTreasureRadio.com. Also got a free ebook for you. It's Alexander Exquemelin's Pirates of Panama or Buccaneers of America, whichever you prefer. This book originally came out in 1678, so it is deep in the history, right? The golden agey piratey kind of sails and all that crap. It's all there. And Alexander Exquemelin was a doctor who ended up on a bunch of pirate ships, wrote about his experiences. And if you're a pirate fan and you haven't read this yet, it's a must read. It's canon, as they would say in the fandom world. It's canon, but it's also nonfiction as far as we know. So to get that, I got a free ebook version of that for you. Go to underthecrossbones.com, click on the free ebook link right there, and you can pick that up. If you're out and about and all you got your phone, you can text the word pirate and your email address to 94253. Text the word pirate and your email address to 94253, and it'll kick you back a little link right there to your phone to download that there. Okay, so let's dig into this song from Crimson Pirates. Here it is, Come and Be a Pirate.
Bum, bum, bum. Come and be a pirate, put on the black and red, and you will sail the seven seas with a price upon your head.
Back in Poltero, a shy and bookish girl, I dreamed of adventure and longed to see the world. So I thought to join the circus, but common sense prevailed. And then one day into our ports the crimson pirate sailed, singing,
Come and be a pirate, put on the black and red, and you will sail the seven seas with a price upon your head.
The pirates were so dashing, so drunken and so free. I knew my heart's desire was to follow them to sea. So when Grace O'Malley asked me, do you want to join me crew? I didn't hesitate, but bid me landlocked life adieu, singing,
Come and be a pirate, put on the black and red, and you will sail the seven seas with a price upon your head.
She said I'd need a mascot, but I only had a quid, and my morbid fear of parrots made me up and catch a squid. His name is Squidney Carton, and he's more a friend than pet. Don't mention calamari, cause it gets him quite upset, singing,
Come and be a pirate, put on the black and red, and you will sail the seven seas with a price upon your head.
I settled into life on ship, it didn't take me long. I don't much like the barrel, but that's another song. So now I am a pirate, and I proudly stride the deck, and the only drawback to this life is the ink stain on my neck, singing,
Come and be a pirate, put on the black and red, and you will sail the seven seas with a price upon your head.
singing, come and be a pirate, put on the black and red, and you will sail the seven seas with a price upon your head.
And that's our show for today, friends. Thank you once again for tuning in. I always appreciate it. Long-time listeners, new listeners, anybody that's coming in, it's all good. If you're listening over on Pirate Radio or the Treasure Coast, thank you for listening in. There's a whole bunch of you. It's really fun. And so that's the end of the show. If you want to find out more about my guests, go to crimsonpirates.com to see what Robin Flanagan is up to. And go to greatestpiratesstory.com. Greatest, that's got to be something else. Go to greatestpiratesstory.com to find Chris Leidenfrost, Greatest Pirate Story Never Told show. We've got some amazing shows coming up next week. We're going to talk to Bradley Rogers from the Maritime Studies Department of Eastern Carolina University about the new pirate shipwreck that they are investigating down in Bermuda, and we're going to hear all about that. Very fun. It's good. It's a great talk. You're going to love it. A week after that, Faith Pierce of Finding Your Neverland, which is an adult pirate summer camp. Oh, I just said some magic words for some people right there. Adult pirate summer camp. Yeah. So we're going to talk to Faith Pierce about that. And we got Captain Jay Tucci coming up pretty soon with his new pirate book for kids. It's going to be really fun. We talk about a whole bunch of cool stuff in there. So that's all coming up. Again, you can get all the show notes for this episode at underthecrossbones.com/142. And I will see you next week. And I'm going to turn the air conditioning on right now. Watch, you can hear there's the car starting to boot up. Cars don't start up now. Cars boot up now. And the air is about to come on. It's about, there it goes. Oh, so good. So good. The nice, cool air. All right, I'll see you next week.